Like full-on carnage in there.
Really?
Or whichever way you're gonna do it, you're gonna see it at the Dragon, because I'm gonna take this thing on the Dragon. Oh, what is that? That don't look good.
Oh no, she's toast.
You know what that shape is. Tycon chill blocks, basically a big whacking great piece of copper. Oil pan, this customer needs a bung welding on it, and this is the downpipe. He wants a flange put on this. I'm going to use one of our stainless V-bands. If you've never used these before, I always recommend you put the male on the downpipe. I mean, it's heavy. It does a really good job at sucking the heat out of it. Helps prevent the flange from warping. Also, it keeps the heat out of it. Makes your weld much nicer. The drain here, we put it right to the very top. This is a tip that I have for you, is make it so it comes through here. Weld this 100% so that's your seal, and then a couple of welds on the outside. This car was towed to us. We built the car a few months ago. Customer stated his wife misshifted it. Went from 4th to 3rd instead of 4th to 5th, and mechanically over-revved it. Then there was a lot of noise and smoke, and car shut off. So let's see what we're going to find out on this one. What we noticed is this coil is higher than the other. You see there's a gap there? They also mentioned something going on with that spark plug. I don't know if they tried to work on it or somebody else did. We're going to tip the head off and see what we find in there. A misshift can bend valves. Hopefully it didn't damage anything on the bottom, and we won't know until we pull it apart. There's a sign that things don't look too good. See that rocker in the front? See how far off it is from the center of that valve? So that valve is bent pretty badly. And then look over here. Look at the amount of room there is on that.
Look at that, just the little top bit is still in there.
That is unbelievable.
Can you see it in there?
Yeah, but there's a lot of valve in there. Look at that.
Yeah. That's
Actually,
such
there's
a
a
small
piece of
amount.
valve right there. Look at that down there. There's a
Can you
piece
see
of,
it?
There's a little piece
Oh.
right there.
So it broke into multiple pieces.
There is some water in there. If you look at that down there.
Yeah, I see it.
It's mixed a little bit.
Hopefully it didn't crack the sleeves.
You get it?
Yeah, it came out. Nice.
Oh, what is that? That don't look good.
Oh no, she's toast.
Yeah, it looks like the surface of the moon. Look at that.
Yeah, it's destroyed, huh?
Yeah. I think what happened is he said his wife went from 4th to 3rd, I think. It probably wasn't. Oh yeah, look at that. And I think what's happened is they didn't hit the clutch, but just kept it in gear. Yeah, you see that? There's a piece. Go back a little bit. Pull out slightly. I think that was a piece of the valve. It's kind of hard to see on the phone. I can see it better. That looks like a piece of the valve, doesn't it? Oh yeah.
That came out of cylinder 4.
That's the main cylinder. That's the pictures we're looking at, but it's tagged every single one.
Yeah, it probably bounced stuff around in all the cylinders. This is all coming out of cylinder 4. There's nothing really going on back there.
Yeah, I mean, it's destroyed cylinder 1. Cylinder 4 doesn't look good. This is, I think they just didn't put the clutch in. They just let it run all the way down after this happened.
Yeah, if you ever misshift, just put the clutch in, neutral, shut it off.
Hit the clutch as quick as you can. When the engine's running slowest, it'll usually stall and not cause as much damage. Yeah, it's just absolutely beat. It's
wow, there's crap under that valve. This one might not have got tagged. It's just the crap from this cylinder jumped cylinders.
Covering for one of my kids, they dropped this fork down the garbage disposal. Now it's shinier than the rest. Look at that. All right, customer just dropped this off. Complete replacement motor. We're gonna go ahead and put this in there, attach the related parts to it. Obviously new fluid. He's questioning maybe doing the retainers and keepers, because this is an AP1. This is an AP2 valve cover that somebody switched. I don't know when they switched it, but it's been switched. But almost certainly it's got the AP1 retainers and keepers, which are known to fail. We don't want to hear about another valve issue. That is not oil. So we got to take the crank pulley off the other motor and of course release the belt, take the AC compressor off, which is right here. This has been taped up, but you never know if it's going to be any good or not. So we're going to have to yank this off right here. Try and do this through the camera. I'll give him all this stuff back, but has been cut, one cut, so let's go ahead and remove those in preparation to put his on. Take the engine harness off, because this harness is going on this. You know, things like that. I hate it when they cut this. I wish they would just unbolt it. I always like to save these if they're in good shape. Often if we do an engine swap or kind of work for somebody else and their clamps are beat up, I just like to just give this to people because it makes our job easier and it looks better and it gives the customer something for free. We have these. I've had these Tupperware container for absolutely years and years and years. Same as this one here. Stuff from decades ago. That is an old school piece. That's 20 years old. That was something that we made when we wanted to switch between map sensors. We were doing some tuning. We had a single bar, a 2 bar, and a 3 bar hooked up. We were playing with that. Anybody going to mention how mint the valve cover is? It looks actually like a brand new valve cover. One thing that we're questioning is this is an 04 to 05 because it has the screw-in PCV, and this is the 2000 to 2003, which would usually have a grommet right there. And this hasn't been disturbed. This looks all complete. So somebody's put a new valve cover on. I don't know why. Everything tells a story, but it's always like you gotta guess what the story is. Anyway, it looks good. Don't see too many issues. Aftermarket oil cap on these. Awful oil caps. It looks clean in there. It's all pretty rusty, but the disc actually wasn't in bad shape. It's just pretty corroded from having water sitting in it. It's all stuck over here, but it's all getting tossed. We got the clutch from his motor that should be in good shape. In last night's video, we just showed you doing seatbelts on the car, and that's one of the things that we do with our old seatbelts because it's so handy. Perfect time to show you these pulleys right here. I did a video on this, and we sell the bearing in the store. These are 2 idle pulleys. If you buy them from Honda, they're extremely expensive, and you'd be surprised how much noise these things make when they go bad. This one doesn't sound bad. This one, so that one is bad. We're gonna go ahead and replace that. We have those bearings in the store. New seat belt on the new motor. This is another reason we use this. It's soft. It's not gonna tear up your paint or your nice pieces right there. Like, usually it's pretty good around sensors. You don't want to put it over a sensor, obviously, but if it's up against it, it's a lot friendlier than a chain. We talked to him earlier, and this is an AP1 motor. We mentioned doing AP2 retainers and keepers. Well, he just got a hold of us and said, yes, I want to do them. So that is going to happen now. It's not bad. It might have been a little bit easier on the floor, but not a big deal. So we're going to put AP2 retainers and keepers in it. I'm thinking we'll do that before we put the supercharger back on, because that does add a little bit of an obstacle right here. You probably know I'm a little OCD, but I saw someone pulling the caps off a motor. Somebody sent me it, and I don't know if they were to freak me out. They were hitting it with a hammer, bashing them off each. I don't know if it was just like a take it apart to diagnose. This way I do it. We're losing these, lift these up like this. These are like a perfect little handle. Just rock them side to side, and they'll come right off for you. I'd much rather do that than bash them with a hammer. Let me do another one for you. I'm going to put this one down in order. It's number 1. Like this. Lift those bolts up, lock them together, and just rock them. They're just sitting on those dowels right there. See those dowels? That's all they're held on with. Putting the suspension back together, this was pretty interesting. Just happened to touch the caliper, and we're missing a lower bolt. So luckily we have a used bolt we put back in, because it is a fine thread. It's not 1.25, I believe it's 1.0 thread pitch. So we're going to go ahead and put that in there, and we know the brake's going to work at least. Old retainers, didn't really see any cracks, but they are kind of thin. This is something we notice so much. It's like a sharp edge here. It's almost like a blade, because it thins on the edge where the spring wears it. New retainers. Hold on, I'm talking on camera. I'm talking to YouTube. That's the retainer and keeper right there. It's all together. It's on cylinder number 1. Next thing right now is to do a valve adjustment, just to make sure everything is in spec. Part of us doing it. It don't take that much more time to do it. You've already got it apart. Do the valve adjustment and feel good about it. All right, got oil pressure. plugged in the coils and injectors. Now it should fire up. There she goes. Now we gotta let it run, check everything over, bleed the system. We used our bleeder bucket, so it does a pretty good job at bleeding out most of the air by spinning. It lets the air come out. It actually works really well. Let's look it over. Check back with you here in a minute. Have to let it warm up. Idle doesn't want to come down. Thinking this idle valve is stuck, and of course sprayed fluid everywhere. I'm gonna go ahead and put the one that came off his car. I should fix it. Idle valve, just took that one off, swapped it over. We did swap his oil cap too. This is one that came on the motor. It's just a generic aluminum one. All right, it's happy now. We washed the blower out with fresh oil because we was afraid of contamination, because there was a little bit of milkshake. Nothing too bad. Idle's controlling now. Has it got heat? Oh, you've already done the Freon? Oh, sweet. George is going to go take it for a drive, make sure it's happy. The adjustment good? Too much replay?
No.
Is it good?
I think so.
Okay. So the clutch is all original from his other motor. As you see, brakes. Yeah, I think so. I don't think there's anything over here. Alright, everything is good. We're going to go take it for a drive, or George is going to take it for a drive. The brakes still have a little bit of surface rust on them. Should be fine, but you always want to drag the brakes a couple of times first before you run it hard. Clutch and flywheel was from his original motor, so there was no braking required there, and it still looked perfect. So we'll make sure it's good. Check everything again one more time, and we can call him. I'm sure he's going to be happy to get this back. This is our next job. George is going to go ahead and drive that car a little bit more, just make sure it's happy. This car is getting a new clutch and a new soft top. Really, really clean car. Look at this full red interior on silver. I'm going to do a clutch first, so what I'm going to do is, one of the tricks that we do is try not to put heat in the motor. Put it in reverse, start the car and immediately go backwards, so we don't have any heat in it. Make sure I don't hit George's car. Keep the RPMs down. We don't want to get the exhaust and cat. You hear that? That sounds good. We don't want to get it hot and then shut the motor off. But it did smoke for a little bit. It seems like it's died down now. I think the exhaust might have had a little bit of residue in there, a little bit of oil and water, but it seems like it's cut back. It's pretty smooth. Like I said, we did a valve adjustment, which is good because all the valves were tight. Obviously changing the retainers and keepers, we always do a valve adjustment, but it don't usually affect it that much. It's just more for trying to be as close to perfect as we can. So it sounds good. Motor sounds good. Supercharged sounds good. I'm happy. I think he's going to be happy too. Well, the clutch is pretty much done. I wanted to show you this. This is the basically the grommet right here, and you see how it is basically deformed that way, which means it's been sitting in that position a long time. So it's obviously easier to move that way than the other way. That's one of the reasons with our rebuild kit we include this. That way it has like a neutral feel. It doesn't want to pull one way easier than the other. And of course, when the rubber is new, it's tighter. It takes some of that slack out of that. And of course, the new spring as well. This doesn't have the foam. It's so bad that it's completely disappeared. So this customer is not paying for the shift rebuild kit. It's all in pretty decent shape, but I don't want to upsell him on that because it's not that bad. But I am going to put the foam in there, considering it's completely gone. It does make a difference. So what I'm going to do to help this feel a little bit tighter, I'm going to rotate that the opposite way until it lines up right here. and that way it'll put a bit more tension on the shifter. It's surprising that that rubber does what it does. We'll clip that in there. A rebuild kit, we call it a master rebuild kit. It comes with everything you need. This is the way I would rebuild it, so just give you a quick rundown. This is the foam. This is isolating the noise, keeps it a little bit quiet. This is the rubber gator and the clip. This actually helps the shifter feel a little tighter. It just takes some of the slack out of it. These are the actual parts that you're rebuilding. These are the wear items, but this, when they're new, this rubber is stiffer when it's all clamped down, and it does help that shifter feel a little bit firmer. Also the spring, we include the spring. These lose tension over time, so you're gonna get a new spring and then enough Euro grease to grease everything up and make it feel slick. Foam right here, so it's narrow on the sides, it's larger here, right? So that is the direction it goes in. Like I've mentioned so many times, it sounds so minor, but it makes such a difference. S2000 is allowed, so anything that you can do to isolate some of that wind noise, transmission noise, gear noise from below you, it all adds up. So that's what it should look like. Just kind of line it up. It sits in there nice and tight. There you go. And then we'll put the console back together. The clutch is done. I'm gonna just go ahead and wash up and we'll drive it, make sure the clutch is good, the adjustment is good. Then it's the top, which, I mean, it's borderline a shame taking this top off. It's the original Honda top. It's got the Honda glass right there. So it's not bad. It's got that little mark right there, which, I mean, it's enough, you know, to let water in, but it's kind of a shame to see it. Usually it's here. Well, it just shows you if you do take care of the top and keep it out the sun, it will last. This is a 2003, and it's a little mark right there, just starting to tear. That's 21 years old on a factory top, and it doesn't appear to have any kind of dressing on it.
Why don't you go ahead and give it a tear?
I almost feel bad to give it a tear.
I know. I wonder how bad the material is.
Is it dry?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't do that with a new one. You know what I was actually thinking is cut some patches for people that are always trying to repair theirs, because trying to find this material is tough. You know, if you was to glue it on the inside, you know, people like to patch them. Go ahead and put it in the comments, then by the time this video's up, this top is either gone or we've actually put it in the store.
We forgot all about it.
We forgot all about it. Go, why are you commenting about putting it in the store? Don't what are you talking about? Yeah.
We didn't say that.
So anyway, if you see it in the store, little patches and it says use soft top material for you to glue in or whatever. I'm not trying to just nickel and dime you guys, but I don't want to pay fees.
There is people that have asked about it on our video.
Yeah, I think there is.
This one's not the worst one I've seen either. That'd be a good candidate for that.
Yeah, just 6-inch square patches or 4-inch whatever, you know, just obviously not as bad as that, but if you was to put the material on the back side like here, you can glue that down, and I've seen some people actually kind of stitch it around. It's not the most ideal, but it could limp you along a little further. Yeah, I saw that. I kind of did the stick my finger in, I think. Yeah. It does go through.
It will, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, we've dealt with way worse tops than this one. This is still pretty elastic.
Yeah, it is.
You get them where as soon as you hit them with the razor knife, it just,
yeah,
you don't have to do anything
it kind of runs on the grain almost. This is still, you know, pretty tight. Anyway, look out for that. Let's get this top off. We'll show you the new OEM one. All right, this is done. It's pouring the rain outside, so we can't leave it in the sun, but typically you put them in the sun and everything tightens up, the wrinkles come out because it sits in the box. Well, clutch is new. We're gonna do a little bit of break-in on that. Maybe we just ask the customer to break it in because it is miserable outside. Let me show you. It has been raining since 6 o'clock this morning. I took my son to school and it was the worst rainstorm I think I've seen yet. That car's getting picked up tomorrow. It's supposed to get picked up today, but he changed it to tomorrow. Map sensor adapters are back in stock. This is the new version. Look, we even have one of those little things to seal the bag to separate this. These are extended bolts, so the map sensor sits on top of this. This sandwiches between the throttle body and the map sensor. It sits this way. You put the new O-ring on there. It's so that the map sensor will read vacuum and boost. You're going to run a vacuum line to one of those 2 ports right there. One of those would have had the FMU attached to it. If you're doing aftermarket forced induction, you won't use the FMU, so that line is available. We made the first one, I believe, in 1998. It was just a very basic block like this, and I just made it out of aluminum in the shop so we could put that on there. And it was right when Honda first started their 4B, I think it was, their early stuff. These are a few variations. This was one that I had manufactured, and then we changed it to put the LHT logo on here so it would bolt in that factory position, so you could run a 3-bar map sensor or a 2-bar back in the day when we used to use the GM 3-bar map sensors before the 2-bolt was manufactured. So this was like a dual purpose. I had some made this way and some made without the logo. Anyway, new one is here. This is one that we've been prototyping. It's all scratched up because we keep playing with it, trying it on different things. Checking with a boost, it's Loctited in there, but we run it basically on our compressor. We'll put 150 PSI in there and then vibrate this to make sure it doesn't fall apart. So they are in the store right now, ready to go. LHTperformance.com. Car came all the way from South Carolina, just got here yesterday. You've seen our oil cap tool right here for the S2000s. Pretty much all of the Hondas 88 to about 2000 has this style. Stops it scratching your cap and you can tighten it correctly. Well, let me show you the new one we're working on. I think this is the nicest Honda cap out of any of them. 88 to 2000, that's what the tool is for. This is what all the new caps look like. We bought a whole bunch of these. This is anything 2001 and up, and I think it's kind of an ugly cap, but it's the same thing. Kind of hard to take off and hard to tighten, especially on the new Civic Type R and the Integra Type R. Let me show you. I got one outside. Right here. Let me show you what's going on with this. Here's the new boring oil cap, which I'm not a big fan of. As you see, on the Civic, it's kind of down in a hole, and it's a little bit hard to grab, hard to get your fingers in there. Yeah, you can use a 14mm wrench on that and scratch it. So every oil change, you put another scratch on it. We're designing a tool for that right there. So it'll fit 2 different ways, whichever way you're gonna do it, whatever direction it is. That is the tool that we're working on right here. This is the 3D printed one, so we can play with it and make sure it works and make sure it does what we need to do. And then we're gonna have this made out of CNC billet. By the time you see this video, the new filter tool should be back in stock, and then the new one for the small frame filter right here. This is our prototype we've been testing. This is actually going to be the design. We like this. Comment below if you know what that shape is. I'll give you a hint. It's a wheel design. But same kind of design fits the small frame filter, which is everything 2001 to present, including the Civic Type R and Integra Type S. We're going to be carrying those in the store. That way, if you have both cars, you can get both tools, and then you're covered for your oil changing pleasure. I'm not going to show you too much here, but this is the Compacto. Give you an idea, it's got 2 whacking great speed controllers right here. The factory Motor Compacto is 350 watts. The Super Compacto was 750 watts. This one, 4,000 watts in the front, 4,000 watts in the back. This is the battery. The battery is heavier than the Motor Compacto. This one has suspension. It has hydraulic brakes. Still under development. You guys are going to see this on an upcoming video. And if you go to the Dragon trip, you're going to see it at the Dragon, because I'm going to take this thing on the Dragon. I'm going to take it to the show, as well as our wrapped Motor Compacto. There is my Motor Compacto, and there is Esther's Motor Compacto. These are 100% stock, except the wrap. This one will definitely be there, just so I can ride around and have it parked in front of the car I take. And of course, the Hyper Compacto is going to be there. Talking of Esther, I don't think Esther is going to be there, unless we get a whole bunch of people that say, hey, Esther has to be there, I want to meet her. Go ahead and comment in there. I'm not just trolling, because I don't think she's going to go. But if enough of you guys say I want to see her there, maybe she'll be there. Let me tell you what else is going on. The Civic Type R, you've seen the past videos where we did the wheels. These are the Mita wheels, and it has the H&R springs, and it has the NSX center caps. Fantastic combination. This is your last chance to get 10% off Mita wheels with our code, which is LHT Performance 10. Go to their site, type that in, you're going to get 10% off which is about 250 bucks, by the way. It's actually pretty good. The Civic Type R, next thing it's gonna need is an oil change. I've done the break-in miles. It's ready for an oil change. What I'm gonna do is do the oil change, put it on the dyno just the way it sits, and see if it does anything different than the blue one. This one feels a little peppier than the blue one. Might be in my imagination, but I'm usually pretty good with the old butt dyno. I think this one's a little faster than the blue one. We're gonna get a baseline run after the oil change and see what it does. Then I'm gonna get a hold of John from Faribault. I wanna get him to jailbreak the ECU, and I'll show it all live, how he does it. We're gonna put his stage 2 map in there, just the one that you order, not like a custom tailored one just for this car. He's gonna just dump his stage 2 map in there. We'll put on the dyno and see exactly what he does. He has really good success with that tune. A lot of cars that come through here get his tune. And then we're gonna put a meet together and have you guys come down, and we'll do like a little jailbreak and tune tour. That way you can meet me, you can meet John. We'll try and bring some other people up here. We'll just make it a fun day. I'm gonna do some exhaust work again. If you watch the blue car, I did a whole bunch of exhaust work, and it was to a point between the sound and then it got to the point where I just hated the color. I got so much hours messing with the exhaust, and the more I worked on it, the more I hated the sound. It made me hate the car, it made me hate the color. I don't want to do an obnoxious exhaust. According to John and a lot of his tunes, they don't make a whole lot of power, and these cars sound awful. I don't care. I own the car, I drive the car, but I'm being honest with you, they sound awful. They do not sound like the OG Hondas. This almost could pass for a Subaru BMW, because it's kind of what it sounds like. And the more exhaust you put on it, the more that sound comes out. It just doesn't sound good. It sounds like a vacuum cleaner. It's got plumbed in sound, which I don't know. I'm gonna find out where that is and take it out and throw it in that storage facility over there. Then I have some plans for an intake. So I think the intake design on these cars is absolutely ridiculous. I want to change that. I want to see if it works. If it works, great, we'll offer it. If it doesn't, we'll put it back the way it was. You can use this car as a guinea pig. If you are into Hondas, you are into Honda people, you are into driving scenic roads, you absolutely have to be there. Best meet you will ever attend. Guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the share, hit the subscribe, hit the like, and we'll see you on the next video.